welcome back to As Told by Ari. Yes, I did take a hiatus. Yes, it's been some time. And yes, we are getting back into the swing of things, guys, officially. So first and foremost, before we even get into the teeter-totter of, subscribe, blah, blah, first, I have to thank you guys 1,000,007 times for all of the support and all of the messages and all of the inquiries as to when this would be back. I thank you so much for your patience and allowing me to finish out graduating. You are officially watching a Penn State alum. So, that was mostly why I had to take a brief break from the show. I had to really just get my life together, really. And I just really needed to make sure that I was mentally okay to get back into everything. So I really appreciate all of the support, all of the subscriptions, all of everything while I've been gone, because it definitely pushed me forward to get that degree. So now we can move into the nitty gritty. Thank you so much, guys. Hit the subscribe button. It's really at the bottom of the page. We really talk about everything on the show, from current events to reactions to just stuff that people want to talk about, because you can never have too many perspectives in the world. It's important for everybody to feel heard. And even if I'm not saying anything new and I'm not saying anything that no one's heard before, I just want people to feel like they have somebody to connect to that's normal and just a person, really. So again, thanks for coming back. I was going to really try and ease into my first subject coming back. But I put polls out there, I put questions out there, and a lot of you guys want to hear my thoughts on the R. Kelly thing, so that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I will give a trigger warning. I think it's important to let everyone know that for those of you who haven't been following the Surviving R. Kelly documents in the docuseries, this is definitely sensitive content. A lot of it has to do with sexual abuse, child sexual exploitation, just a lot of things that are not normal things that we talk about in everyday life. And, I just want to give that trigger warning. I want to let everybody know that not only are you supported if this is something that you've dealt with, but you are believed and you're loved and you matter and you are bigger than anything that somebody else has the depravity to put you through. So for the survivors out there, you're brave, and it takes a lot of power and a lot of courage to come back from a lot of the things that so many people have had to deal with. And unfortunately, because we don't talk about it enough, it's almost as though the worst of crimes is swept under the rug. And that's really the only real reason I felt compelled to actually talk about it. Even though, granted, this is something that everybody wanted to talk about, I almost really didn't do it because it's a lot. But if this is what we're going to talk about, then this is what we're going to talk about today. So first things first, I really want it to be known that I'm not even really going to be talking about R. Kelly himself. I don't feel the need to speak about abusers in that way, mostly because it's known what he's done. And I just don't want to fan his ego anymore. I don't want to speak on him as though he is worth talking about any more than he has been talked about already. So, this is mostly actually going to be talking about the survivors and what we can do as Black people in our community to make sure that these things are no longer swept under the rug and that they're no longer just things that we are expected to deal with as part of the Black struggle. It's not. It's never been something that should have just been swept under the rug. And, for those of you who have really not watched the series, or you have watched the series and you still can't understand what I mean, why it's such a problem that these were Black women and no one listened. I'm not drawing a line between race in these instances because I'm trying to race bait. I am literally highlighting this issue because this is something that as Black people, we have not dealt with. And because of that, we now officially have these types of horrors being released every day of every hour. And now, abusers, they finally got the warning that they deserve. And unfortunately, so many people had to suffer before this happened. So let's get into it. First things first, when it comes to the survivors, there have been so many naysayers like, oh, well, why wouldn't they come forward before? And why wouldn't they do this? And blah, 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 blah. They're placing blame on everybody but the person they should be placing blame on. And that is R. Kelly, the man who did all of this. That includes his team, because I also want that to be known. I'm going to be talking a lot more than about the man who did these things, because he was enabled by so many people who are actually on the docuseries, and it pissed me off. Because if he goes down for any other counts that he wasn't already indicted for, because double jeopardy is attached, they need to be going to jail too. But we'll get into that. Don't you worry, we'll get into that. Going back to the survivors. First things first, believe them. None of these women have anything to gain from having their sexual abuse public. Like, nobody has anything positive to gain from being known as a survivor of abuse. Yes, they are strong women. They absolutely are. These are women who have had to deal with things that people literally couldn't survive. People have literally not survived them. And here they are being strong enough and brave enough to put their darkest moments out there for the world to know so that other people can get help. Believe them. Because if anything, we have no reason not to. That's just it. We have no reason not to. And at the end of the day, when we have the evidence, when we have their accounts, when we have multiple counts of the same thing, these are real. These are real. And if we have the type of motive to put people away like Sandusky and Joe Paul and Bill Cosby, these are people that have been put away for their crimes. And granted, it took way too long. We had the ignition to believe those victims, so we need to start believing these victims too, period. We believe every single church story that comes out about these priests and these popes and everything else. But notice those are white kids. So we believe everything that they say. It shouldn't be any different because these women are black. It should be no different. That's the first thing. Second thing is we need to have been listening to them a while ago. Now, something that people have been saying, and this is weird for me to hear because I get a weird emotion. It's like a mix of anger, confusion, and genuine disbelief. How some people have really had the audacity to have the mentality of, well, these girls were being fast. They were, why wouldn't they just stop it when it... These things were happening to them when they were 12 to 17 years old. I don't know how a teenage girl can be fast when they're being molested and when they're being raped by someone who is 20, 28, 30 years old and climbing. That's not a thing. The idea that these women were fast or that, they should have thought about it before they tried to get... No. Let's cut that right now. Just because they were young black women, again, if they were white women when this was happening, these would not be things that are being said. And I want it to be acknowledged that I mostly hear these things from the black community. And that's another reason why I felt the need to make this video. These are problems that are so swept under the rug for black people that it's almost like we've built this innate sense of, well, we need to protect the abusers at all costs for some reason. And I don't understand that because these are real lives being ruined. And unfortunately, what I am more likely to see in the black community is for a cousin or an aunt or an uncle or somebody in a family to be kicked out for being in the LGBTQIA community versus them having almost a pedophilic, just a pedophilic family member. You are more likely to see more judgment and more harm come to somebody who is of the LGBTQIA identity versus someone who likes to molest children. It's very real. It's very upsetting. And as a black female, thankfully, that's not a predilection that my family had to deal with. But it is, unfortunately, a story that is told over and over and over and over again in the black community. I can say that I even have seen in my own family some shunning for some of my family members who have identified with LGBTQIA, which is crazy because it's like, I don't get how we can shun people for being who they are, but we don't have the same immediate anger when it comes to somebody who's violating children. That's something that as the Black community we need to deal with today, now, this hour, right now, because I am so tired of hearing these trauma stories about, when I was 3, my uncle touched me and my mom was right there because she was asleep on the couch, versus, oh, I had a 12-year-old cousin who came out as gay and they kicked him out right away. Like, these are things that are really, these are real problems. And I will even speak on this, because if you have watched the docuseries, you do see that R. Kelly and his brothers were molested by their sister. They were molested by people in their own neighborhood. And again, that was swept under the rug because they were little Black boys. These are not things that are usually swept under the rug for any other race that I know of. And I can only really speak on my experience as a Black person. So, I'm not trying to throw my own community under the bus. I'm not trying to raise any other community up, because every community has its set of problems. But this is one in particular that has yet to be dealt with by Black people. Because even now, we're still seeing people say, oh, well, I don't agree with anything he did, but you bet I'm still going to play his music. Okay, where was that energy when Frank Ocean came out with Thinking About You? I can't hear that song anymore because, now I know it's about dudes and I just can't, if he's homo or whatever, he can. Keep that same energy, okay? Keep that same energy is all I got to say, all right? That's it. Because I'm seeing my face get red. That's how much it pisses me off. Because anyway, moving on. That being said, when it comes to the Black community dealing with things like this, I dare say that we create our own problems with this, because let's even talk about the defense of, well, they you don't see them arresting all these white dudes when all these women are coming forward. You don't see them. And I agree. Listen, guys, let's talk about the outrage of the injustice towards the Black community. And I get that even has played into the mindset of why people have defended him in the past. Oh, they're just trying to come for his image. They're just trying to keep a Black man down. They're just trying to. I am not saying that America is not against us. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that the legal system was not systematically designed to oppress Black people. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that the mindset that people immediately went to was one that was wrong. I get that. However, the second the nation watched the tape, the infamous peeing tape, that argument should have gone out the window. Period. This was not they don't have evidence like Bill Cosby. This isn't they fabricated charges and brought him up. No, this man implicated himself when he started filming himself having sexual relations and then peeing on a minor. He filmed that video. He did that. They have found multiple videos like it in his care that he took. The manager went on live television. Granted, it wasn't live. I'm sorry. The docuseries talking about how R. Kelly came to him several times. I need help. Oh, this is bad. I did something bad. He literally has said it out of his mouth in a clip in May 2018, guys. This is everywhere. Y'all should have did this, quote unquote, 30 years ago. This man has implicated himself several times, okay? These are not conspiracy theories. These are not, they're really trying to come at me. They're really trying to get me. Now, the reason I mentioned the Bill Cosby thing was only because, and I'm glad that we got justice there too. I wish that they had a little bit more concrete evidence, but, if that many women are coming forward, I'm not going to, as a fellow woman, I'm not going to sit here and say that your experience didn't happen. Period, point blank. I'm glad they put somebody in jail. But we officially had concrete evidence to put R. Kelly away, and nothing was done. Nothing was done. Nothing is still being done. And that is problematic for me. It really is. Because this man is still doing it. He still has victims as of January 10th, 2019. Okay? There are families that are still being targeted. There are families that are still being affected by his actions. And as I watch the Black community slowly turn on itself, it's disheartening that we would put our entertainment above our women. It's upsetting that we would put our entertainment above our very own people. And I'm not even saying this to get a rise out of people. I'm not saying this to jump on the train of, oh, well, we should have been paying attention. No, we should have been paying attention. We should have been listening. And as Black people, even when he was in courts, even when they were, speculations, the second we all saw the tape, it should have been a wrap. It should still be wraps. Why I'm still seeing support for this monster, and why I'm still seeing stuff on my timeline talking about, I'm still going to play Step in the Name of Love at my wedding. I'm not playing Jack. I don't need to hear anything. Why his music has skyrocketed in sales is beyond me. And people are like, well, we want to see where the lyrics are. Look, y'all. Look, I get that too. I get the curiosity in that. I really do. But all we have done is continue to conflate his ego. All we've done is continue to make this man feel like he is invincible when we are still meeting survivors today. We are still meeting women who are talking, who were the centerpieces for some of his greatest hits, quote unquote, and they're about abuse. You don't need to be streaming his music for that. You don't need to be putting these women's stories behind the back piece of entertainment. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than, this is weird. I feel like I can't play. Are we gonna stop playing every artist that has? You bet your ass we are. Yes. That's the point. The point is to stop giving these people the idea that they are so above the law because they made a one-hit single. The point is to stop making these people feel like they have to be held accountable because they made a great hit that you played at your wedding. Who cares? He ruined lives. That's what this is about, guys. That's what this is about. He's ruining lives. And for each and every woman that's come forward who has sought support from the Black community, I can't imagine what it had to be like to have the bravery to come forward and then still look on the news and see people who look just like you saying they're lying. They're just trying to get a Black man down. Like these women aren't Black themselves. Like these women don't have a lot at stake themselves. These aren't stories of, he robbed my house. He stole the dog. He wiped me out of my credit card. He violated these women emotionally, physically, and mentally. A lot of them suffer from Stockholm Syndrome because he kept them locked in a house. He literally had women locked in houses. These are not jokes, guys. These are all for public record. So even if you think I'm fanning the flame, even if you think I'm just talking to talk about it, these are all things that you can find on public record now. He is officially being held accountable by his soups of every building. He's officially being held accountable by his record labels. Like, granted, half of the teams on the record labels need to be in jail and burning with him. Let me just say that too. Because every single man that I saw on that docuseries who's a misogynist, who allowed it to happen, who walked into a studio and saw an underage girl naked or getting defiled, who didn't call the cops, any man or woman who allowed a minor to be with him alone, any person who introduced a minor to him, anybody who had anything to do with any of the abuse and didn't tell the cops, needs to be held accountable. And that goes for Sparkle. I said it. I don't care. That goes for his manager, that Demetrius Allen piece of crap. That goes for the dude who was his security head, whatever the heck his name was, something green. That goes for every single person who was involved at the time and still involved now. Because what kills me, and this is exactly why I felt the need to talk about the Black community being involved so much, you don't get away with that type of abuse for that long without a network. And unfortunately, as a community, we gave him the network to think it didn't freaking matter, and it always matters. It's always going to matter. And it really, really puts me in a place to know that there are even people my age who know about how their friends have been assaulted, who know that their friends are victims too, who know that their victims had to it takes every day just to get out of bed talking about, oh, well, say what you want about me, but I'm still going to bump his music. I don't agree with anything he did, but I'm still going to bump his music. You are still giving him the power to think that what he did doesn't have a consequence. And you are sending the message subconsciously that anytime this happens to a black female, it's going to get pushed right under the radar. People don't understand how engraved this stuff is into American society. Let me just give you guys a brief history lesson because, fun fact, now I get to use my degree. Yay! Yay. Fun fact. The United States systematically set up a system in the South during Jim Crow and before that, slavery periods, in like specific time periods, where the legalization of raping black women was a thing. You heard me. You literally heard me say it. This is on literal record. This happened in the United States. It was legal to rape your female slaves in the South. That speaks so clearly into today's day and age, you don't even realize. Most people actually have no idea why things got so hairy for the Civil War. And I do hate to bring these things up because I don't want people to think that I'm talking about too much in one episode. So I'll get to the point quickly. I say all of these things because the black woman has been the least protected person in history, period. There were literal laws saying that people were allowed to defile us and we could do nothing about it. On top of the fact that now meant your offspring, on top of being on top of your offspring being mixed, your offspring officially took the occupation of the mother. They even switched a rule that was old as time, really, because usually when you have kids, it takes the occupation of your father. No. The United States changed that law. So not only could you rape these women, when they're forced to bear your children, your spawn, you now have more slaves because they take on the occupation of the mother, who didn't even want them in the first place, who had no choice in any of it in the first place. That is so ingrained in American history that when these things come forward, when these are taking the place in modern day, we don't even think about it. We just think, oh, well, she shouldn't have went by herself. She shouldn't have did this. She shouldn't have did that. We do everything but place blame on the people who did it. These all come full circle, guys. This is all full circle. And if you don't believe me, seriously, the documentation is also public record. These are all things that have been talked about. And I feel so bad for the United States. I really do. Because so many of you have no idea that our history books are all lies. And we're like, some of you are really, and I'm just going to say it because like the information's in your face and you really just deny it. You're dumb enough to really think people would like, you're such a conspiracy theorist. No, dude. It's like common knowledge. Everything we're taught is a lie. So for those of you who are getting into college, for those of you who just want to know more, I'm serious. Read books like Lies My Teacher Told Me. Read books like, oh my gosh. What is it called? Oh my goodness. Lies My Teacher Told Me. Seriously, guys, not even being funny. Literally use the AP US history stuff. And even that is somewhat of a lie, but luckily I had an amazing AP US history teacher to let us know that. Because there are docuseries that also go into the manifestation of what is now, I dare say it, American rape culture. Because it's so ingrained in our society, dude. It's sick. It's so sick to see now. It's crazy. It's ugh. These are all things that go together. And granted, there's a lot of psychology that goes into, why those who are abused continue the cycles of abusers. There's a lot that goes into that because I can honestly say I want R. Kelly to get help. I can say that. His siblings deserve to have help. because they were victims themselves. But even in saying that, that does not take away from the damage that was done. And it doesn't take away from the fact that as a country, we have allowed Black women to endure some of the most inhumane treatments that this world, that history has seen. And for people to turn a blind eye to it because, you know, for whatever reason you can think of, is it just lets us know that in 2019, these are not issues that we're going to be sweeping under the rug anymore. These are not things that as Black women, we just have to associate as part of our come up or our glow up, or, you know, whatever it is that whatever societal rule it is that Black women have to endure all these hardships in order to be seen as real women. We're people, guys. We are freaking people. We are here. We've been here. And not to even be funny, but like life literally started with us. So it's not a joke when we say these things happening to us. It is not like this, oh, woe is us. No. We have the history to back up fact that people have literally walked on us since the dawn of time. And in 2019, it's wraps. It's done. No caps. It's over. Because at the end of the day, now the Black woman is finally starting to see that these things are not just things that we have to deal with. These are not things that we just have to accept. These are not things that we have to be quiet about because we're like, oh, people aren't going to listen. No. In 2019, you're going to listen. And if that means we need to put every docuseries on Netflix, on Hulu, on primetime television, then that's what's going to be happening. If that means we need to be having more movies and more support groups and more book releases for the survivors, then that's what's going to be happening. And if that means that you, as a person who is just a part of this world, that means you have to have the balls to boycott one of your artists because they don't know how to treat people, then you need to have the balls to do so. Because one thing I am sick of hearing, and I'll wrap it up right after this, is men primarily talking about how I would never do this to a woman and I need to protect my Black queen and we need to be saying more. No. Because if you can't even have the strength, no. If you can't even have the common decency to boycott somebody who has ruined as many lives as R. Kelly have, you can't listen to a single 3-minute song because you're that weak, then keep your mouth shut, stay off our timelines, and until you can actually be about your words, keep your mouth closed. Period. Because I'm going to be real honest, as a survivor, as a Black woman, as everything in between there's nothing worse than having a false friend. There's nothing worse than having a false ally. Because if I see anybody on my timeline talking about, oh, well, I'm still gonna be playing this and, you know, I hear what he did is wrong, you're not gonna hear anything from me. Because that's not a threat. But I have been boycotting artists for as long as I can remember, because these things, I will not give somebody my business. I will not give them the fuel to think that they are above the law. So rappers and artists like 6ix9ine, Extension, whatever the hell his name is, I don't even know. I don't even care. Rappers like R. Kelly, anybody in this music industry who has gone on record talking about they've beat women, they've hurt people, they've done this, they've done that. Boycott it. Done. Because all it takes, it takes one. And if everybody had the mentality that I can be the one that isn't going to listen to them, imagine the type of waves we can make, guys. Imagine. These issues, while they hit every single race, they hit every community, they hit everyone. These things are big now because for the first time, Black women are being heard. And granted, it's not without scrutiny. It's not without, the naysayers, and it's not without its hardships. But for the first time, these women are making themselves heard. And that's what should be being paid attention to. That. Not trying to debunk what they're saying. Not trying to be like, well, this doesn't add up because, where were the parents? Save all that for people who aren't victims. Don't ask the victims where their parents were. Don't ask the victims why they did this, this, and this. Don't ask the victims why they couldn't do this, this, and this. They're victims. They were brainwashed. They were taken advantage of. They were defiled. These are people who have survived things that we can't even begin to imagine. So for the first time, listen to Black women. Listen to them. It's all it takes. It's all it takes. Listen to their stories. Be a part of the change that has to happen. Because it doesn't take rallies, and it doesn't take protests and all these giant movements all the time. Sometimes all it takes is for people to listen and act accordingly. That's it. That's it. For those of you that have survived things like this, I commend you. You are so brave. You are so much more than what your abusers have ever done to you. And you are so much stronger than anything, any naysayer, any person who would dare question your story, anybody who would dare come at you sideways because they don't feel your story is valid enough. It doesn't matter. You're valid, your story's valid, and keep talking about it because that's the only way we're going to make changes happen. Okay? Thank you 1,000,007 times for coming back, guys. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And, as we continue down this journey, as we continue to talk about stuff that, is hard, it's going to be easier for us to feel as though we have our own community of safety. And it's going to feel, you're going to be able to feel as though you're doing something right because you are. And, that's what matters. Doing the right thing is what matters. And if listening, if all you can do is listen, do it. If all you can do is share something, do it. If all you can do is send a kind word to a survivor do it. Because this series being let out, I'm telling you, it's changing people in ways that you don't understand. It's harming people in ways that you don't understand. And it's making it more of a reality for those of us who have had to fight the idea that this is the type of danger that we've been in our whole lives. We can do so much more than we have been, guys, and that's exactly why we have this channel, to talk about these things and to get ideas out there that even if people don't want to hear them, they're going to hear them. They're going to hear us, guys. It's done. It's out, and we're going to keep talking about it. So keep sending in your ideas. I love talking to you guys. I love hearing your thoughts about what I'm saying, And at the end of the day, I want everyone to feel as though they matter because they do. So tune in next week. Sorry it got a little heated. This is a pretty serious, subject for me. And, I just want you guys to know that I love you. I care for you. And I'll see you next week. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to share with your friends, your family, and your neighbors. And go into the world, guys. Go in peace. Be in love and be a light for somebody today. Okay? Love you. Bye.